Hi, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Justice for Donna Lee Donaldson. For those of you who do not know, Donna Lee Donaldson was a very popular young lady who was a social media influencer slash businesswoman and media personality. And she was dating a police officer who goes by the name of Noel Maitland. She disappeared and she was never seen or heard from again. Her mother said that Noel was the one that picked her up from her house, from her mother's house, and that is who she was seen with shortly before her disappearance. Today, years later, the case is before the courts, and they're trying to figure out what happened to Donna Lee while trying to get some justice for her. Now, as we move forward, if you've been keeping up with our videos, you will know who has testified in court so far. They are now up to the 10th person testifying on behalf of the state, which would be a witness, which would be someone who is testifying essentially against Noel Maitland. So, there's an article that said blood like rice grain. Witness recalls being frightened by the amount of red substance that was flowing from the sofa at the car wash. For you who don't know what that is about, Donna Lee Donaldson was seen on video camera entering her boyfriend's Noel Maitland's apartment on video, but only Noel was seen exiting that apartment. However, a couch was moved in that critical period, which many believe, including law enforcement and myself, that she was probably dismembered and her body was made to fit into that couch, and then the couch was used as the moving mechanism so that he wouldn't be seen on camera dragging a body. He was well aware that cameras were around. My personal take on this is they got inside of that apartment, they got into a fight, probably like they usually do, and this time things got a little out of hand, more than normal, and she ended up losing her life, and he's trying to find a way to cover it up. He didn't think about it because now that the body was in his apartment and she was dead, he had to figure a way to get her out of the apartment, hence the use of the couch. So, here's a testimony from the individual who was at the car wash, because when the couch was moved from his apartment, it was taken to a car wash, which leaves everybody thinking, if you're going to throw a couch out, you throw it out. If you're going to sell a couch, you sell it. Why would somebody take a couch to a car wash to be power washed? Especially given what was happening, or what seemed to have happened, in the wake of her disappearance, blood splatters found inside of the apartment, etc. So, a former car wash worker yesterday testified that the man who had brought a couch to her place of work to get the couch cleaned actually took over from her while she was power washing the couch, and that she observed blood like rice grain seeping from the couch. For those of you who are not of this culture, blood like rice grain could be like somebody saying people like sand on the beach. It was just a lot of blood coming out the couch. It's a woman. The attendee is not a man. We thought all along it was a man. The woman who gave evidence via a video link in the home circuit court on Tuesday told the courts that the man, whom she referred to as Brown Man, took charge of the washing the sofa shortly after sending someone for a bottle of vinegar. The guy came back, she said, with the bottle of vinegar, and we spoke. And I told him to get 2 more bottles of vinegar because that one is not going to do. He took over the gun, which is the power washing gun, from me and started washing it himself, the witness said, referring to the power washer, which she described as a gun that is connected to a hose and then to the machine. She estimated that she had spent less than 3 minutes cleaning that couch before Brown Man intervened. Like, give me this, let me do it. Asked how long he had spent cleaning the couch, she said that she was not certain of the amount of time that he spent cleaning the couch, but she knew that he washed it longer than she did. The woman, when asked about Brown Man, told the courts that she would be able to recognize him if she was to ever see him again. However, after scanning the courtroom during her testimony, she stated that the man who she calls Brown Man was not present in the courtroom. Now, mind you, Noel Maitland is in the courtroom. So either she cannot recognize Brown Man and she called Noel Maitland Brown Man, or Brown Man is somebody else that was washing the couch, which would tell us that Noel Maitland had help hiding evidence, had help distorting the evidence, had help. So returning to her testimony, she said it was during the Brown Man's cleaning, while Brown Man was cleaning the couch, that she saw blood just oozing from the right corner of the sofa. After he started washing it, I saw a lot of blood like rice grain, the witness said. The worker had the disclosure yesterday while giving evidence in the Home Circuit Court, where Constable Noel Maitland is on trial for the July 2022 murder and disappearance of his girlfriend, Donna Lee Donaldson. She told the courts that she was so frightened because of the amount of blood that she observed coming out of that couch. The witness recalls saying, "Jesus," when she first saw the blood coming out of the couch. She was so frightened by the sight of it, she said, "Jesus." Now, how would she know that it was blood? Why would she at first be so startled and alarmed? Why didn't she think it was paint or it was some other red fluid? She recalled that she also said, "This young man you must be dead or him bleed out. Look like them kill somebody in a hit." Those were her words that she said to the person who was washing the couch. This man must be dead, or it looked like somebody bleed out, or they must have killed somebody in this couch. The witness, however, said that she made the utterance and no one responded to her when she said it. According to witnesses, she knew it was blood because of its red color, and there was a raw scent that accompanied it. Now, if y'all remember from previous testimonies or previous information that was released to the media, it said that when she saw the blood, she was startled. And she knew that it was blood because flies were following it and it had a raw smell to it. Probably that's why they were sending for bottles and bottles of vinegar to wash it with. Not only that, the story changes now, because before, the story was that she asked Noel Maitland what happened in that couch. And he replied and said they were doing some work, working on a project around his house, and his cousin ended up cutting his hand. And she replied to him and said, "Well, it must have dead. It must have bleed out for the amount of blood that was coming out the couch." But now in court, she is saying when she said that it must have dead or somebody get killed in this culture, she said that when she said it, nobody answered her. Nobody responded to her. According to the witness, she knew it was blood because it was raw smelling and the color of it. However, defense attorney Sanjay Smith immediately objected to the woman's assertion, arguing that she was speculating and she was not qualified to determine what the substance was exactly, which the attorney is right. However, she still can testify what she thought at the moment. But Justice Leighton Pusey overruled that objection, stating that it was the witness's observation and that the defense would have an opportunity to challenge her account during cross-examination. So, the worker then said that on the morning of July 13th of 2022, the brown man in the gray car visited the car wash around 9 a.m. in the morning. He later returned in the same car, accompanied by two more men with whom he had earlier visited, along with the sofa in a blue and white truck this time. She said that the sofa was placed in the section that is normally used for car washing. So before beginning the cleaning, she said she retrieved a degreaser and some bleach, but she was told by brown man not to use the bleach. The bleach are gonna mess up the couch. Don't use the bleach. The witness stated that she initially began the cleaning process herself, but then the man took over after the vinegar was brought to the location. Maybe she wasn't cleaning it the way they wanted it clean, because she was going to clean it and miss the blood. She told the courts that she saw a dark spot on the sofa about the size of a June plum before washing began. She said that the man left the sofa behind after washing his vehicle and drove off. That's weird. Wash off the sofa properly, wash off his vehicle, and drove away and left the sofa there. The following day, the witness said she observed that the sofa was still there. Now it was swarmed by flies and that the place was now smelling very raw. According to her, she never saw brown man again after that day. The car wash worker also shared that the car wash had a mobile unit which offered the service of cleaning mattresses and furnitures. Maitland, so what she's saying is if they wanted that couch cleaned, obviously they know about the car wash because they came there before he went back and got the couch and got the other two guys who came back with him. And if they wanted the couch cleaned, they could have saved them having to move that couch from Noel Maitland's apartment there, and then leaving it there was very suspicious to the next day. I'm thinking they washed it out, they destroyed DNA evidence with vinegar and the power washing process, and then they left it there so it could dry, right? They left it there so it could dry, but flies started swarming it. And a couch is not going to dry that quick. I know Jamaica is hot, but a couch ain't going to dry that quick completely. The car wash worker also shared that the car wash had a mobile unit, and their mobile unit offered services of cleaning mattresses and furniture, so they could have went to them. If they wanted that couch cleaned, they could have called them, they would have went to them instead. Made it even more suspicious that they brought the couch there. Nobody brings a couch to a car wash, then put it in the part where a car is supposed to be power washed at. Maitland is on trial in the Home Circuit Court on charges of murder and preventing the legal burial of a corpse in connection with the disappearance of Donna Lee Donaldson. Donna Lee Donaldson was only 24 years old when she disappeared. She was a swimwear entrepreneur, businesswoman, and a customer service representative, as well as a well-known social media personality as well. She was reported missing on July 13th of 2022. Her mother, Sophia Lugg, had previously testified that Noel Maitland picked up her daughter on July 11th and that she last spoke to her daughter on the morning of July 12th. And then she was reported missing on the 13th after Noel himself called her, the mother, and said, "Mommy, you don't hear from Donna Lee." And the mom immediately knew something was wrong. She said, "Noel, what kind of foolishness you ask me about if me not hear from Donna Lee? Now you pick up Donna Lee and take her from here. What you mean if me hear from Donna Lee?" And he proceeded to tell her that they had a little fight and Donna Lee walked out of his apartment and left, and he hasn't seen her since, alluding that someone might have picked her up out her road in another car. Mommy said she spoke to Donna Lee, her daughter, on the morning of July 12th, and all attempts to reach her afterward has been unsuccessful to this very day. Now, previously in this case, 2 delivery men previously testified that Noel Maitland had hired them to transport his sofa. The first one testified that he was hired to remove the sofa from Noel Maitland's Chelsea apartment and take it to the car wash off of Halfway Tree Road, the address. He also shared that the constable, the police officer, Noel Maitland, had approached him through a colleague, which they were at their workplace where they both work at a hardware store where he is contracted to do deliveries at. He recalled being piloted by Noel Maitland, directing him to the apartment where Noel Maitland and his friend and a person named Carlos, the delivery man's co-worker, who is now deceased, had helped to remove the settee from the apartment. This is crazy because now we're thinking, how did Carlos die? Who is the other friend that helped Noel Maitland to remove that couch? Because this is an eyewitness who is saying he's the delivery guy, and then when he got there, Noel Maitland gave him directions, piloted him, leading the way to his apartment. And then when he got there, he saw Noel Maitland, who led him there, his friend, and another person named Carlos, the delivery man's co-worker. Carlos is a guy that worked with this delivery man, so it's not like a stranger that he didn't know. Carlos is now deceased. I wonder how Carlos died. The second delivery man, who said Carlos had told him about the job, stated that he was at the hardware store at his place of employment when a car drove up, and then they approached him about the work, and then they piloted him to a car wash on Lyndhurst Road in Kingston. There, he was instructed to take that sofa to a upholstery shop in downtown Kingston. The witness from the car wash will continue her evidence next week, Tuesday, when the trial resumes. That was what was supposed to happen. But then we fast forward to next week, Tuesday, which was yesterday, today being the 30th of July, 2025, and it is Wednesday. So Tuesday, news out of Jamaica says that Noel Maitland's trial will resume on September 16th. So this trial has been having many breaks. First, the trial took a long break for them to get everything in order and authorization to have witnesses testify through electronic means from overseas. And then they got that approval, and then the trial restarted. And now, according to Radio Jamaica News Online, the trial has stalled again. And this time, they can't get in touch with one of the persons who started testifying and then disappeared. So this one says the trial of Noel Maitland is set to continue in the Michaelmas term. Now, you know, I had to go look up what the hell Michaelmas term means. And it says the Michaelmas term refers to the first of the academic year in some British universities, typically starting in the autumn to fall season. It's almost known as the autumn term. It's also known as the autumn term. This term name originates from the Feast of St. Michael and All Angels, which falls on September 29th. In the UK, it's a common name for the first term at universities like Oxford and Cambridge. Jamaica is heavily British, so this was written in that manner by Raquel Porter, a reporter for this news media outlet. The trial of Noel Maitland is set to continue in the Michaelmas term, which means sometime in September. We are in July. So here we go with another month plus of a break in this term, in this case. So this, after the trial, which began in May, came to a halt on Tuesday in the Home Circuit Court due to challenges with the 10th witness. The court was unable to connect with the witness who has been testifying remotely. The witness is also unavailable to testify today and tomorrow. The current court term ends tomorrow, July 31st. This is fresh today, July 30th. The former car wash worker testified last week that the man who had brought a sofa to her workplace to clean took over from her while she was power washing it, and that she observed blood like rice grain seeping from that sofa. Prior to that adjournment, the witness, who had been working at the car wash for 3 years, was shown a photo with her and Noel Maitland at the car wash. The court was also shown a photograph of the truck that transported the sofa to the car wash. 2 delivery men also previously testified that Noel Maitland hired them to transport this same sofa. The first one said he was hired to remove the sofa from Noel Maitland's apartment and transport it to a car wash off of Halfway Tree Road. And he shared that Noel Maitland approached him through a colleague, and that is how he ended up working with others and that sofa. This is where the case stops. There will be nothing further until September. They did not say what date in September. It is said that the trial is set to resume actually September 16th. So we will have to wait to see what else happens from now till September 16th. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The video footage from that apartment complex might need a digital forensic expert just for verification, so the jury knows that that footage was not tampered with. Because Noel Maitland's attorneys have done a great job of injecting doubt into this case, that she was seen going into the apartment with him on video, and the only reason she isn't seen coming out is because somebody tampered with that video. Now, they will have to prove that it wasn't tampered with, because, you know, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove their case, not the witness. I mean, not the person who is being prosecuted, rather. And with that said, and all these stops and breaks in this case, justice is still being delayed, but delayed justice might not be justice denied if justice is still handed down. I am wholeheartedly believing that Noel Maitland is responsible for the death of Donna Lee Donaldson, tried sloppily to cover it up, and there's just too much evidence pointing towards the fact that he did this. Whether he wants to confess and explain to her people how she died and then where her body is or what he did with her body, that is on him and his conscience. I am thinking he will never say where her body is because, for one, he is not trying to accept any guilt for this. He is going down with the sinking ship, with the burning ship in flames. He is going to continue to say, I had nothing to do with her death. I think also the reason why Noel will never say what happened to Donna Lee exactly is because what happened to her is gruesome. I personally think that she was brought to a funeral home and she was incinerated. So ashes cannot be found. Also, I also personally think that she was dismembered inside of that apartment, cut in at least 2 pieces in order for her to fit into that couch and her remains taken out of that apartment. Hence the reason the couch was as bloody as the couch was. In order for him to admit those details, it is too gruesome, and he does not want to be seen as a monster, so he is not going to admit those details. Now, mind you, these are my personal opinions, and my personal opinion I've arrived at based on evidence that has been presented so far by law enforcement, the prosecution as well. Nothing else. That's my theory, and I'm going to stick to it. And we'll see you about this trial September 16th of 2025 when it happens again. Hopefully, the person who was testifying decides to come back and continues to testify, or maybe they will just have to drop this person. But the prosecution is hanging their case heavily, hinging their case on this person who is testifying right now. Don't forget her name, man. Donna Lee Donaldson. Her family still wants justice. Her father passed away without getting justice for his daughter. His daughter and him were very close. It is said that although he might have been ill or ailing, her disappearance sped up his demise. You know, a father that just couldn't take it, and heart troubles and whatever else happened, your health starts failing. Same thing is happening to her mom. Her mom and her were super close, and her mom is going through it, and her health is fading rapidly. They're seeking justice for their daughter. The mom said, if it's even one little part of her, if it's even a finger or something, right? She would like to know what happened to her daughter, yes, but if she could even get like a little piece, a part of her. Give me a leg, give me 1 foot, something, so I can bury it and have a grave site where I can go to, so I could give it a dignified burial. In her mom's mind, she will always be haunted. Is my daughter buried in a riverbed somewhere? Are worms eating her up because her remains are buried in a shallow grave out in the bushes somewhere? Like, her mom will forever be haunted, not knowing where her daughter was disposed of. I'm absolutely sure she has lost hope now for her to be alive, given the description of the blood, the amount of blood coming from the couch, the blood splatters in Noel Maitland's apartment, on the shoes, on the curtain, on the wall, etc. I'm pretty sure mom knows that her daughter is not alive right now anyways. Had hope at first, but I'm pretty sure she is giving it to God now that her daughter is not alive. However, there will be no closure. She can't give her a funeral. She can't say a final goodbye. She'll be haunted by this. So, with that said, I say, may justice be served. We'll continue to follow this story when they go back to court on September 16th of 2025, and we will continue to keep you updated until the final outcome of this trial. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.